And we're back for Indiana Jones, our recipes. We have been inundated with technical difficulties and logistics in terms of finding ingredients. So we had to take a little bit of break from our last video, but we're back at it. We're good to go. Today, we are doing our first Egyptian recipe, and that is Ful Medames. And I even tried to get this pronounced at the African mart I went to buy fava beans, and they're like, I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm like, well, crap. So, anyways, we're going to get to this. A couple of things we made. We had to do a substitution. We're supposed to use dry fava beans. Those don't exist in my region. So, we have these pre-soaked fava beans that are ready to be warmed up and cooked. Lemons, also out of season, so we're using lemon juice. I do not have cumin seeds, but I do have ground cumin, so we had to go with that. Those are the only substitutions we had to make. The rest of it, we're good to go. So first things up, we're going to put our fava beans in here. We're going to keep that liquid too. Okay, and then we're going to dice up we're going to dice up this onion. And then we're going to, this onion as well as a diced up tomato are both going to go into those fava beans while they come up to being hot. I said just a full dice on these. So, as I said, we've been inundated with technical difficulties. One of those was that we already did this recipe fully. We did the full video, everything, and we realized at the very tail end that the microphone died at some unknown point. So I thought maybe I could just do a voiceover, like maybe it just died out during like the taste test, like at the very end, because that's when we noticed it. Nope, turns out that the audio died out on us pretty soon after I said, pretty much about this point right here is where it died. So that was just too much to do a voiceover. It wasn't going to come out very well. So we decided to make this recipe again. Thankfully, the only ingredient that was actually really hard to find here were the beans. So ran back to the African mart, got those beans, even grabbed an extra can just to be on the safe side in case we had more difficulties. Anywho, we're figuring it out. I'm gonna add this onion. And then that tomato, like I was saying. So I can't be 100% authentic in my taste test here. But what I can say is that when I tried the fava beans before for the very first time, they were delightful. I loved them. They're definitely the meatiest bean I've ever had, and I really actually like them, and it's a shame that I can't find them at any of my local grocery stores because I would love to incorporate them more into my diets, because they're, like I said, they're just a really, really meaty bean, and they taste, I don't know, I guess almost sweet. Let's see if I can get one out here real quick. Yeah. Oh, come on. Thankfully it's not too hot. So anyways, this is the bean right here. Go ahead. I have no idea if the camera's going to pick this up very well, but here's the inside. But it's kind of like an oversized pinto bean. And it almost tastes pinto bean-like too. So I bet that's probably the best way I can describe it. It's just really big pinto bean. All right, so we got our tomato. Throw this in here, and then we're going to give that a stir, and we're going to let that come up to a low boil and let it simmer for just a little bit. Okay, Stir this up a little bit. Like I said, we're gonna let that all cook for a little bit, and while that is coming up to that low boil, we're gonna go ahead and start on our tahini. So we're making this from scratch. So the first thing we're gonna need to do is grab a cup of sesame seeds. A cup of this. There we go. It's almost right out of cup. Oh, just kidding. Almost forgot there. We forgot to toast the sesame seeds in this. So we've got the pan hot. We're gonna dump them back out of our blender real quick, and we're gonna toast them for about 3 to 4 minutes, or 3 to 5 minutes, stirring frequently just to avoid them burning. And we're gonna wait till they're about a golden brown before we throw them back in the food processor slash blender. Another thing, now that we're having to do some of the beans a little out of order, just because they're already, you know, ready to be eaten and they don't need to soak overnight. So we just put some cumin in, and we're going to add our garlic now. And with that, we're going to give it a mix. So I added the ground cumin and garlic that we chopped up. And just give that a mix, and that's still coming up to that light boil that I want it to. In the meantime, our seeds are getting a little closer. So then we've got a good bit that's turning kind of that golden brown we're looking for. So we're going to be able to move to the next step in just a moment. Any more of this sitting on there and it's just going to start burning, so we're going to go ahead and take it off. Not all of them are toasted golden like we want, but enough are. Now the difficult part that I actually made a mess of last time we did this was transferring them. I don't have a funnel, so that's where we're at. I had dropped so many on the first recording of this. It was a disaster. Transferred over, we're going to blend these up to a paste. They don't come out exactly how we want until a few steps. So first up, blend these to a paste. So our process does not quite get it to a paste. It gets it to more like a powder. So our next step is to add in some oil, and then we do that process again. I think it's like 2 to 4 tablespoons. This is how much oil we're supposed to put in there for a cup of sesame seeds. So this will help get it to a little bit more paste-like. And then the last additive is throwing in salt. Alright, and honestly this is looking maybe a little dry, so I'm going to put in some more olive oil. Give that a go, and I think we're good. Yeah, so see that creamy texture down in there? That is what we want. So we're going to scrape everything out. And we're going to add that to the stew here in just a moment. In the meantime, this is to a boil, so we're going to add in some more ingredients. At this stage, we're going to add in the juice of 1 lemon. And we'll do just a dash more. And then some more oil, more cumin. And then after that, it's just salt and pepper. At this point, we're going to stir and then add in our last ingredients. Our last ingredients are going to be pastrami. Now, the actual recipe says pasterma, but from my research, that is just pastrami. Seems like found out there are a lot of names for pastrami, so I'm going with this. If pastrami and pasterma are actually very different things, I apologize, and my research was wrong. And then we'll add in the tahini. And you'll note from the recipe, the thing I am missing is actually the chili, but I am cooking for people who can't really handle their spice, so I left it out of this. I don't think it's going to be kind of a deal breaker for anyone. I hope not. Yeah, we'll just finish adding this, give it a mix, bring it back up to hot, and we'll be good to try it out. Everything's all mixed in with everything together, so I think we might be good to give this a taste test. The only thing you put on top is some of the tomato. So we're going to chop that up real quick, add it on top, and we'll be good to give this a taste test. Like I said, it's not going to be authentic the first taste test because I've already done this whole video and ate the whole meal before. So we're going to there you go, got some tomato. Throw it on top there. We're going to take our first bite of this version of the video with everything other than the extra tomato. See, it's got this like earthy, almost sweet taste to it. The meatiness of the beans is fantastic. It's just a great mixture. I think it all blends really well together, and the tahini adds something really, really nice to it. I think that's where a lot of that earthy flavor is maybe coming from. And then with the tomato adds a little bit of acidity to this and helps blend it all together. And I think it really pulls it all together into one really nice bite when you get some of that fresh tomato right on top. And especially if it's really hot temperature-wise, that tomato instantly cools it off, and like I said, just gives you the perfect bite no matter the temperature. So, and that is our first Egyptian recipe from Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. We'll be right back with the next recipe from the game, and we're going to push our way all the way through Egypt and on next to China. Thanks for joining.